the technology. Ben and Carolyn, welcome. Thank you to welcome to TPC Talks Live. Those of you online, it's good to have you all. I know you guys are kind of all over the U.S. Shout out to Vicky down in Van Buren and her team having popcorn with us. So I know you guys are missing Cajun food, but next time maybe you'll come in person if you're available. But so good to have you all. We have a great lineup for y'all today. I'm going to start down at the end introducing Angela. So Angela comes from Illinois, and she's been a part of ZayZoom. As a working mom of three, she knows the real struggles of balancing work, life, and finances. That's why, as a manager at ZayZoom, she's on a mission to help businesses ease financial stress for their employees through earned wage access. She's not just talking about it, she's making workplaces stronger, more supportive, and financially empowered. Let's give it up for Angela. Angelica Bryant doesn't just do HR, she transforms it. With 20 plus years of experience, she's tackled everything from startups to global corporations, mastering the art of growth, leadership, transitions, and M&As. Since 2019, she's been a powerhouse on our team, the TPC Vision, proving that business success starts with people. Beyond the boardroom, Angelique is a dedicated community leader serving on multiple nonprofits. She also has 3 sons, and our proudest addition, her granddaughter Lulu. She's an Oklahoma native turned Northwest Arkansas local. She holds an MBA in leadership and ethics because, let's be honest, HR without ethics is just paperwork. Let's give it up for Angelique. Melissa knows a thing or two about building strong foundations, whether in the classroom, in business, or on the hiking trails. After 11 years teaching PE and leadership, she made the leap into the business world, helping companies navigate payroll, HR, and now 401ks, solutions with human interest. Since 2020, she's been opening doors and retirement plans across the central United States. When she's not making financial feeders brighter, you'll find her exploring Austin's best trails and hit food spots. Let's give it up for Melissa. Corey Hall, if there's one person who can make sense of the ever-changing world of benefits, it's Corey Hall. He doesn't just help businesses navigate healthcare and insurance, he helps them win with it. As a health representative advisor at BHC, he's a master of crafting cost savings, talent retaining solutions that actually work. Since 2020, he's been helping self-funded employers rethink their approach with smarter strategies and cutting-edge insights. But beyond the spreadsheets and strategies, Corey is a devoted family man called Rogers, Arkansas home with his wife Sarah and 2 kids. So whether it's tackling benefits challenges or weekend adventures with his wife, family, shooting guns at the range, or watching the Chiefs, or cheering on the OKC Thunder, Corey's always thinking ahead. Plus, he has one hell of a shoe collection, so let's give it up for Corey. And we have Kayla, who is our HR guru, aka genius, from TPC. She's been a part of the team for 9 years, but I think she started practicing HR as a baby in diapers. So she's very knowledgeable, has a lot of experience. She's a boy mom to 2 young boys. And some fun fact about her, she loves to bake sourdough bread. She needs to put that on her signature. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to turn it over to Kayla.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. All right, thank you everyone for being here. We have a few preset questions for our panelists today, but we would also love to hear live questions from you guys. So if you're here in person, you'll see scattered around the room a few different QR codes. If you zoom in on your camera, click that link, that's where you can submit live questions. And for everyone online, we have the QR code in the Zoom chat, so feel free to send those questions in. Or send them through the chat too. We can read them, from the chat as well. Send your questions in because we would love to answer those. All right. So with that, let's kick it off. We're gonna start with a question for everyone here on the panel. How do we anticipate the future of employee benefits evolving over the next 5 to 10 years to continue meeting the varying needs of all generations, particularly as younger generations enter into the workforce and older generations approach retirement?
stab at that to start.
Scott, the audio's not on.
All right, I'll take a stab at that to start. Working with BHC, I think over the next 5 to 10 years, what we're going to see with benefits is a lot of evolution. We've seen over the last decade benefits change dramatically. Certainly with the passage of the ACA, and now we're more than 10, almost 12 years into a whole new world of benefits. We're seeing the multi-generational workforce, which is what this is all about. They have very different needs, very different desires when it comes to benefits. I think the things we're going to see are multiple different benefit strategies implemented in each organization, catered to each generation. We're going to start to see more things that are non-traditional rather than everything focusing on healthcare and retirement. We're going to start seeing a lot more work-life balance related benefits, lifestyle benefits, student loan repayment benefits, things that traditionally have not been part of your benefits package. I believe we're going to see more and more of that coming over the next 5 to 10 years.
Gen Z.
I think that's all really fantastic. I would build on that and say, I think what we're really looking for is plans that meet the employees where they are, things that are very flexible and choice-based, because as Cory pointed out, even within the same generation, we're not looking for a one-size-fits-all. We're really looking for something that meets the needs of each individual. So that can be wellness-based, financial, education-based, lots of other avenues for that, but rather than the traditional avenue of saying, here's what it is, take it or leave it. Every company offers take it or leave it. It's going to be a much more dynamic and evolving aspect of HR.
Specifically speaking on like the 401k piece and the retirement piece, can you hear me now?
Yes.
But we are in a retirement crisis currently, and as we continue to move forward, right, is that retirement crisis going to increase, or are we going to work to fix it? And so just a couple of stats that I have, 57 million people don't have access to an employer-sponsored retirement plan. 77% of working Americans are not on track to have sufficient savings by the age of 67. So just looking at that, 60% of non-retirees don't think that their retirement savings are on track, and that was back in 2021. So what the local governments and federal governments have done is put state mandates in place. There's 12 states that currently have mandated retirement plans, so meaning employers have to offer something to their employees. And then 8 states have already passed legislation for those same mandates, and they're all different each state, but 48 states in the US are moving towards this. And then the federal government came out with the Secure Act tax credits to help businesses offset the cost. So I think you're just going to continue to see more legislation passing and more businesses that are being required to offer these retirement plans for their employees, just for that sake alone of fighting that retirement crisis.
Awesome, thank you so much. All right, the next question here is for Cory. How can HR leaders balance the tried and true benefits that older generations value, such as retirement plans and healthcare, with the flexibility and wellness-driven options that the younger workforce is demanding, like Angelique was mentioning earlier?
Sure. I believe, at the core of any benefits package, you're still going to have the financial stability of health insurance, retirement planning, traditional insurance related benefits are still going to be at the core. More and more, we're seeing an evolution of virtual medicine, direct primary care come into focus. I think that's a really, really big deal in the benefit space. Access is a problem. So I think any of you in here today, if you feel like you're coming down with a sinus infection and you want to go see a doctor, you have a sinus infection, you get one twice a year, you need a steroid, or you need an antibiotic, whatever works for you. It may take you 2 days to get into the doctor. It's Thursday, it may be Monday before you get into the doctor. You may be really sick by then. Or you may have to go to an urgent care clinic and seek care from someone that you don't know. You may have to leave work, go sit in the doctor's office, creates absenteeism issues. So I think we start to see virtual care coming into focus more and more and really resonating with certainly the younger population in the workforce are more willing to step into a private office, jump on a 5-minute video call, get their prescription called in, pick it up on the way home from work. There was virtually no downtime in the office, so you as employers are seeing less absenteeism from your employees. The employees are getting their problem taken care of faster, usually at a much lower cost. They're also not being fed into the referral patterns of the hospital systems and maybe getting unnecessary treatment to go along with whatever's going on. So they're getting more appropriate care. I think that, and then mental health is a very serious issue from an access standpoint. The average time for a new visit for an adult for psychiatry in Northwest Arkansas is 9 months. For a child, it's about 6 for a new visit. If you're dealing with serious depression, maybe there's suicidal issues, 9 months is not a reasonable amount of time to wait. So again, coming back to virtual mental health care issue or access, I think that's going to be something that in 5 years, every employer is providing to their employees, probably paying for it as well. We're also going to see a positive impact from a claims standpoint on your medical plans by providing access to these things, getting the employees taken care of more quickly, and in a more appropriate manner in a lot of cases. So they're saving money, you're saving money, and we're improving the workforce's quality of life in these programs.
Absolutely. We have a question from our live audience here. So what recommendations do you have for small businesses who are looking to recruit and retain talent in an area dominated by major corporations? Offering robust and diverse benefits is a must while still keeping the bottom line and financial well-being in a volatile economy in mind. Anyone on the panel who would like to answer? Oh, Angela. Yeah.
I've got answers.
I was like, I did. So small businesses don't have a lot of resources for a robust benefit package. So I would suggest looking into your payroll partnerships, your HR partnerships, to find free access to programs that would benefit the employees. Sometimes there could be prescription savings programs, earned wage access, financial wellness. They could all be provided to you no matter the size of your business through your payroll provider. So really just looking to people in your life that you consider experts and asking them what benefits are available at low costs that you can offer to just kind of separate yourself from the rest. Everyone's looking to have health, 401k, but what about pet insurance or prescription savings? So there's lots of different programs you can sign up for, like CleverRx or GoodRx, that it's free to your business, but provides benefits to the employees.
Absolutely, and I'll just add to that, thinking about benefits that are not within your traditional benefits package, maybe that are more perks, more work-life balance based, training and development, mentorship programs, things that can show an investment in your employee that are not necessarily at a dollar cost to you, but that are an investment of time and a great way to continue your career as well.
I actually put together a list of these things. On the top of my list is student loan repayment assistance. I think that is going to be a challenge for the past 2 generations and the next 4. That insurance brought up, that is something you would not believe how many people ask for. Not the biggest fan, but people want it. So we're going to get access to it. On-site services like dry cleaning and fitness centers and childcare and different things like that to help employees reduce stress. Vacation policies, sabbaticals, financial wellness, time off for volunteer activities, lifestyle spending accounts, flexible workspace, having work from home days and a flexible work environment is becoming increasingly important. And most all of these things that I'm mentioning really don't have a cost to them. So it's really about designing, it's implementing within the culture of your organization access to these things that I think is going to help really give you a differentiator without spending a lot of money on traditional benefits.
Excellent. Next question here is for Angela. How can organizations better support employees navigating different major life transitions like starting a family, buying a home, or preparing for retirement?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing that an employer can do is meet their employees where they are. I recommend surveying employees, asking them what kind of benefits they're interested in. So obviously, if you know your employees, you know their needs, you know who has expecting a child, who is planning for retirement. So really looking, we did a survey of about 300 employees. Only half of employees are satisfied with their current package of benefits. Shockingly, 3/4 of employees reported they would consider taking a pay cut to get a new job for better benefits. So among the survey, the most popular benefits, again, is prioritizing work-life balance. Flexible PTO arrangements are by far the most in-demand benefits right now. But offering a cafeteria-style benefits plan that allows employees to choose from traditional benefits like 401k, health savings, and then modern perks that prioritize work-life balance. Childcare, pet care helps build a more engaged workforce. And then by creating that customizable, inclusive, adaptable benefits strategy, HR can engage all generations in the workforce, and they can remain competitive in retaining talent and increase their retention.
Excellent. Thank you, Angela. Next question here is for Angelique. What role does technology play in effectively communicating benefits across broad demographics? And how can we ensure that our messaging is clear and engaging for both digital natives and those who may not be as tech savvy?
I like this one. So it's not, again, it's not going to be a one size fits all solution. Your newer employees, your younger generations are probably going to be interested in tech solutions like benefits portals, maybe AI chatbots that can answer questions about the benefits plans, explainer videos, things like that. But there are still going to be members of your employee population who want a paper benefits guide, who want to sit down and ask you their questions and get their questions reassured by an HR person or a benefits expert. Knowing that you're going to have to take a multi-pronged approach, I think is really critical here. I know a lot of HR experts who would want to, I'm in this group, who would want to be able to really streamline and set up a program that almost runs itself. And that's really fantastic, but you are going to need to be prepared to support the employees that need a higher touch response as well.
Absolutely. All right, Melissa, this one's for you. Why should companies prioritize flexible benefits for a multi-generational workforce?
Great question. I think same answer as far as the one size fits all, right? One size does not fit all. It pretty much fits nobody. So thinking about what you want to offer to your employees that you have. So knowing what they want, giving them options, and then even like speaking specifically to retirement, do they really know what is being offered in that plan? Do they know if they have a company match of 3%, they might have to put in 6% in order to get all of that? Do they know that? Or are they leaving money on the table? Do they know that they can do something that's raw or traditional? Do they know the differences? So really, I think speaking to having the flexibility in what is going to fit their needs, a big key piece of that is making sure you educate them. So having an enrollment meeting every year, even if they enroll in, say, the 401k plan their first year, 5 years later, making sure that you're giving them the space to come back and check in and find out what those things are that are being offered, what they actually have access to. Do they know that for new employees that are, in their early 20s coming into the workforce, instead of making an assumption that, oh, they're young, or maybe they don't care, they don't want this benefit, actually, instead of making assumptions, thinking like, oh, they're older, maybe they already have retirement paid off. Let's actually ask them. So having the flexibility and not making assumptions, making sure you have enrollment meetings so that they understand what is being offered to them. Same within that, you've got with the retirement plan. Do they know that they can take loans out of it? Do they know that if there's an emergency comes up, they can take money from it without being penalized? So even just those kind of pieces, so yes, flexibility is so important, but also making sure that they understand what their benefits really are.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a great point. As HR professionals, that language and everything she just talked about is second nature to us, but we, may not be the same for our employees. So yeah. Okay, and don't forget we do have the live questions. So if you guys have questions and if you are send those over to us, we'd love to hear from you. Okay, this is for everyone on the panel. What are some common mistakes that companies make when designing benefits packages for a multi-generational workforce?
I feel like I just answered this question. Making assumptions that, oh, they don't need it, they're too old or they're too young or whatever. So I would say that would be what we see in the 401 cases as mistakes, assumptions.
Sorry. The other thing I would add to that is focusing on traditional benefits. You really are going to need to be proactive as HR professionals to start now to build a more kind of future forward benefits program.
It's definitely in my wheelhouse. I believe so. Really, it's what Angela just said. You have to start now. Sometimes it's a multi-year approach. Surveying your employees, getting their feedback is extremely important. I would highly recommend that each of you, no matter who you work with, are surveying your employees at least twice a year regarding benefits. One time, kind of pre-renewal, pre-decision making, and one time 2 or 3 or 4 months after open enrollment, once the new benefits for the year have been implemented. I would be really paying attention and measuring the level of satisfaction your employees have in the benefits and taking their feedback seriously. There are 1,000 ways to put together a benefits package. If you listen to your employees, they will tell you what is important to them and help you reallocate those resources properly and appropriately so that you're still able to attract and retain multiple generations in the workforce. And I think that really, to me, is the biggest thing. Employers don't listen to their employees. They do things because that's the way it's always been done, which usually means it needs to be changed, pretty much no matter what you're talking about. Focusing on, we see employers that have a single medical plan. That fits no one's needs. We see employers that don't offer supplemental benefits or any of the things that employees are asking for, and you lose employees because of that.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay, so this is a question from the audience. What are best practices for companies that want to start offering benefits for the first time? So what benefits should they offer or start out offering if they're a smaller business, they've never offered benefits before?
Survey your employees.
I think right off the bat, there's some benefits that you can offer to employees that do not cost you as the employer. They're 100% paid by the employee, or they could be partly paid by you if you wanted to. So just even knowing what those options are, that's huge. It's a great place to start.
Absolutely. So we're surveying our employees, we're looking at low and no cost options. And then I think I would just add to that and say, it's really important to do good employee education, make sure they know what you're beginning to offer them. And it's okay to talk about what the cost to the employer is so that they understand the real the value and the cost of that program. And when you're starting from scratch, you're in a great place to really start to build a strategy that's going to take you a few years forward and incorporate all that employee feedback. And I think the last piece is find a great benefits broker who can partner with you, because they're going to know all the different options that are on the table. They're going to be able to help you find the right options for you. Yeah, I would also like to add that when you're first starting out, it's important to implement benefits that help with recruiting and retention. So the extra perks and benefits that make your employee feel valued, like rewards and recognitions programs where you're able to shout out employees for anniversaries, birthdays, maybe if we're going above and beyond or taking the new person out to lunch on their first week to make them feel welcome. Employees value being treated as human and for being noticed for doing everyday things, not just what they're paid for. So making sure that you're including programs that are providing value to employees over than just the normal standard health insurance and savings plans. We want to make sure that the employees know that you value them as human for their contribution over and all what above what they are just paid to do.
I think we're one more thing. You want to Something else is, I think the question was geared towards small businesses offering benefits just starting out. So if you do have less than 50 employees, you qualify for the Secure tax credits that you get a credit back for what you paid basically out of pocket for your employee. That's a great place to start.
I would focus, you may or may not have a budget when you're just starting out to pay for insurance benefits. Health insurance is ridiculously expensive and it's getting more expensive every single day. I would focus on the non-traditional things that really come back to the core of your culture and company. I would focus on having a really strong PTO policy, things that promote work-life balance, having more employee engagement, things that don't necessarily, yes, they cost, but not nearly to the extent that an insurance package does. I would focus on those things first. Make sure you have a well-designed and culture-oriented employee handbook. Those things are going to go way further than an insurance benefit. I'll help you build to the point that you do have the budget to implement insurance plans. And, I am an insurance broker, so I appreciate what Angelique said. Find a broker that's not just trying to sell you something, that's willing to engage with you and help you design a package that meets your needs now. And we'll put together a 3 to 5 year plan on how do you get where you want to go. And then we can tweak that and implement different strategies each year as we move forward.
Excellent, thank you. Another question in the audience. We are trying to determine what ancillary benefits to offer. We can't offer them all, so which would be the ones that you have seen are the most popular, or which ones do you recommend?
I'll jump on this one. So when you say ancillary, I'm assuming you mean supplemental outside of medical, dental, vision, you're outside of your core benefits. You would be very surprised how many employees you have Aflacs out there and the Colonial Lives of the world that have been marketing to your employees their whole lives about the importance of having an accident plan that pays them money when they get sick and not the doctor. Employees want those things. It becomes very important in how they're designed and the cost involved. And more importantly than anything with any benefits strategy is education to your employees. It doesn't really matter what you're offering your employees. It's the education, the quality and time you're willing to put into the education, the commitment for you as an employer to set aside time, make sure your employees understand what they're being offered, why it's important, and to not have someone involved that is there to sell them something, but to rather provide education and help them navigate their individual situation to the benefits that might help impact them the most. So with that said, I think most employees want access to your traditional supplemental products like accident, critical illness or cancer, hospital, maybe. I think we're seeing more and more virtual medicine being, whether it's employer paid or voluntary, employees having access to those things. We're seeing more and more of your white collar companies offer lifestyle benefit programs that they put a bucket of money out there that employees can use towards their Netflix account. It's a fringe benefits platform that will allow them to use $50 a month towards any variety of things that they want. You'd be shocked how many employees think that is just the coolest thing in the world. It's relatively low cost. It is not tax deductible, but you may get a lot of mileage out of that. And again, if you survey your employees on a regular basis, they'll tell you if those things are important, if the questions are asked properly.
Just like Corey was gonna say, survey your employees.
Thank you, actually.
Absolutely. So we have found that financial wellness, education, and earned wage access is a growing on-demand benefit. So employees are subject to predatory lending out there. They need help between paychecks. They are getting paid loans, car loans, are coming to you and asking for a loan. So earned wage access has allowed employees to access part of their paycheck between pay periods to avoid those fees. And then provides a tailored financial education so they can take courses that recommend or take an assessment test that recommends courses. So it can be tailored to wherever level they are in their financial journey. And as well as like flexible PTO. That is very huge in demand. Like doing half days on Fridays during the summer so that people are able to get out and have a little bit more time with family on the weekend. So it really just depends again on what your employees' needs are. But yeah, the biggest two that we found surveying is financial wellness benefits and flexible PTO.
Perfect. Angela, I think you kind of answered the next question, but I'm going to ask it again in case anyone has anything to add. So what benefits have you seen that make the biggest impact on employee retention? So I think the two you mentioned were great.
I think the two you mentioned were great. I think the other thing I would add is when we're talking about retention, we're talking about kind of stickiness within the organization. So things like career pathing and development, mentorship programs, things that bond your employees to others within the organization are really helpful there.
1000% agree. Along with recognition programs, mentioned rewards and recognition. Employees want to feel valued where they are. It makes them feel more like family. I know everyone likes to say, "Oh, you're part of the family if you work with us," but they do feel almost just the gratitude that you recognize them as a person. Makes them work harder, makes them more bought into their mission and your culture. So just having programs, it could be as simple as just like morning meetings, recognizing one person per week that you felt went above and beyond. It's free for you to give someone a compliment or tell them what they've done to really impact the rest of the team. So yeah, sharing is caring. So continue to share the love.
Love that. Corey, this is a question from the audience for you. With the length of time that people are having to wait for mental health services, what are some options that employers can offer to bridge that gap?
I think the only option that really exists in our community is our virtual based format. There are a variety of vendors. I'm not going to necessarily spout off in front of you the different vendors that are out there. I think we have a conversation with you about who's worked for different types of demographics, different types of employers, whether it's employer paid or employee paid, all of those things. But there are about 4 really, really good virtual mental health operations that are coast to coast. Unlimited continuity of the provider becomes very important in those, so that let's say it's a counseling situation, you can build a relationship with that counselor, see the same person time and time again, schedule out appointments just like you would with a local counselor. There's some great companies that are providing those products for a really very low cost. It depends on your size, it depends on your budget, but I can certainly help you navigate to those types of providers. But the answer is, I think, in order to gain quick access, it almost has to be in a virtual setting. Because we just are underserved in Northwest Arkansas. We have a major shortage of mental health care professionals, ranging from therapy and counseling to psychiatry. And a lot of the virtual solutions, they can actually manage your medications. They can see you quarterly virtually and still manage your mental health medications, whether it be depression or anxiety or whatever it is that's going on, as well as have an integrated approach to bring in the therapy, counseling, psychology, all of the different mental health arms together in an integrated approach so that you really can manage your entire mental health journey with one set of providers and not having to retell your story every time.
And Corey, would you say that most of those programs, those EAP programs, are pretty low cost to add on to their existing medical plan? I think I'm seeing that a lot more often now.
They are. Traditional EAP is generally going to be 3 face-to-face visits, sometimes 5 or 7, depending on if you pay a little more. Then they're going to try to navigate you back to your medical plans network and whatever your deductible insurance or copay structure is to see those providers. Most of your bolt-on solutions, at the very most expensive solution I could think of, which is also the most robust, is $25 per employee per month. It provides unlimited access for the employee and every dependent in their household, as well as up to 7 people, even if they're not dependents. So I mean, you could extend it to your mother-in-law and your dad and whoever, a cousin that's having some challenges. And most of them will include not only mental health, but direct virtual primary care with continuity of provider and urgent care. So you're really taking care of 3 challenges from an access standpoint for very low cost.
Perfect. Another question here from the audience. How have the return to work mandates affected the way employers are approaching benefits?
I think it's a really interesting question. I think that despite the return to work mandates that a lot of, especially bigger employers or employers who have a very, collaborative focus within their workplace are enacting, there's still a need for virtual benefits, for unique benefits offerings, for financial wellness, for all these different aspects. And so I would say, there might be potentially a need for, depending on your employees, survey your employees, a need for help with, whether it's childcare stipends, elder care as well is another thing we're starting to hear a lot about. Things where think about the situation where someone was working from home and had a lot of flexibility to care for certain aspects of their lives, and now with the return to work, there's a lot of benefit there. But there's also a lot of strain on other areas of a person's life potentially. So benefits that can help alleviate that, I think, are really good.
Perfect. All right, another question here. Do you have an opinion regarding a cost-effective health insurance or healthcare benefit that isn't a true health insurance plan, but does offset healthcare cost? We aren't in a position to offer health insurance, but what else is out there that could be beneficial? Maybe an HRA, HSA, etc. Is there one that is better than another at the starting stage?
Depending on your size, an HRA can be a really powerful tool. Small employers, you have access to really all employers. You have access to an ICHRA, individual coverage HRA, where you can decide. So especially if you're under 50, this can be really powerful because it allows you to set what your dollar amount is towards healthcare and allow the employee to utilize that to go get their own plan. Challenge you run into with that model is many times the individual coverage is more expensive than a group plan would be, and so you're not able to, if you have budgetary constraints, to contribute enough to really make it worthwhile. Because when you do that, you're taking away their access to the advanced premium tax credit to the government. So that can be challenging, but it can be a powerful tool. It really depends on your workforce, your size, what your rate of pay is, base rate of pay. the things we were just talking about, providing a virtual access to primary care, urgent care, mental health for a very low cost can certainly help offset the cost of medical care to your employees. Educating them on things like GoodRx, it's an extremely powerful tool. Every single group we have, doesn't matter what insurance company they're with, what their copay tiers look like. We put GoodRx and a QR code in there, market it to them, and we tell them to, if you are wanting to be a better consumer of healthcare, download the app and look at every single prescription. Just because it's $10 through Blue Cross doesn't mean that's the best cost for that drug. It can be 75 cents through GoodRx. Why not save the $9? All you gotta do is ask a pharmacist to run the GoodRx card. It's providing consumer-driven education to your employees. A lot of times can be every bit as helpful as providing an insurance product, helping them navigate the exchanges, engaging with someone who can help them understand whether they qualify or not for advanced premium tax credits or subsidies from the marketplace to go get individual coverage. And then you can help supplement that with things like virtual care and spend almost nothing on healthcare. Things like disability and life insurance are extremely inexpensive compared to healthcare. So there's a lot of ways you can put together a package without spending $3,500 per employee per month, but more like $30 to $50, which is usually in the budget for most employers. That's where it's kind of my thoughts on it. It's very hard to tackle the healthcare issue directly if you're not able to spend, I would say on average, $300 per employee per month, because it's just gotten so expensive, and that in order to make it attractive to them, you're going to have to spend that kind of money for traditional healthcare.
Okay, thank you. Another question here, employer financial wellness education tends to be focused on employees just entering the workforce. How would you suggest that we approach financial wellness for all generations?
Yeah, absolutely. So financial wellness for the older generation primarily focuses on health savings accounts, 401k, but a robust financial wellness program, again, comes along with an assessment test that you take that will recommend courses based on wherever you are in your journey. So you may not even know what your needs are until you uncover them. We have a money mindset quiz that tells you how you spend and save. It really just gives you some insight that you wouldn't realize. So I'm a raccoon. I snatch savings wherever I can and love coupons. But there are some people out there that spend like octopuses, where they're just hands everywhere. So really, when knowing your financial situation and what kind of support you need is the starting place. So I recommend financial wellness that comes with an educational section that provides courses tailored to you and your specific journey throughout life.
I have some statistics here. So 75% of teens report learning about personal finance from their parents. This is like a checklist, right? So these don't add up to 100. 52%, so they learned about financial wellness from school, 42% from social media. 62% learned about savings, 50% learned about earning, 44% learned about saving for college, and only 42% about budgeting. So, and this was again to teens in 2021. So we're now in 2025. This is who's entering our workforce. What financial education do they really have? This is kind of where they are, where there really is a big push for this. And I would say, for starters, if you are offering a 401k plan and you have a financial advisor that's managing that plan, do the employees know that they have access to this person? Does that advisor come in and do quarterly or semi-annual or annual meetings to share? I would reach out to those advisors and ask, hey, can my employees access you? And I would say probably 100% of the time they're going to say yes, for sure. They would love that. They would love to be able to do that and give education. So that's one piece where if you're already offering a plan and you already have a financial advisor, make sure that your employees have access to them to talk through those pieces. Again, going back to, education and enrollment meetings, things like that. Because the younger generations that are coming into the workforce, they're hungry for the wellness, they're hungry for that information. They also don't want to ask. I feel like most people in their 20s don't want to ask for guidance or advice when they want it. So, yeah.
Perfect, thank you. What benefits do you see being successful for newer generations in a manufacturing environment or any other environment where flexible time is not available? So maybe they can't flex their work schedules, work from home, those types of things. What are some successful benefits for those companies?
So outside of tradition, obviously in a manufacturing, mechanical contractor, warehouse, those types of industries, you're going to have a core benefits package. It goes without saying, you're competing with a whole lot of other companies who do. Doesn't really matter what size you are. If you're going to compete, you have to have a pretty robust core benefits program in order to attract and retain employees at a baseline level. Some things that I kind of put down here that you take away flexibility in remote work, which inherently in manufacturing is not possible except for maybe a handful of people in the office. Wellness programs, wellness initiatives, which is a very broad topic. It could be things like, biometric screenings, incentive-based biometric screenings once a year to better understand the health of your population and where the opportunities are to drill down and focus on improvement in education to your employees can be a huge benefit. Doesn't take much time off of the work line. You can make it optional and you can use a carrot approach where you're incentivizing them for participation. Development and training, I think, is key in any organization, giving employees opportunities to grow in the business, learn, and make more money and move up the ladder. Intergenerational mentorship programs, so pairing seasoned employees with newer employees to help them learn more quickly the right way to do things. And you're also going to get some bad habits in there too, but I think it helps the younger generation who doesn't want to ask questions when they're paired with someone and they get to know them and build that relationship. Now they're a lot more comfortable. They learn much more quickly. They look at them as a mentor and they want to be more like that person. So by pairing successful, let's say Gen X employees that are headed towards retirement in your organization with younger millennial, front-end millennial Gen Z employees who maybe are scared to ask questions, I think you're going to get a lot further with that. You're going to get a lot more productivity, a lot faster out of those employees. And then regular feedback and surveys. Survey your employees and find out what they want.
Yeah, so manufacturing specifically, we found that on-demand pay financial wellness benefits increase turnover by 29%. It saves about $10,000 per 100 employees on rehiring costs, and you can find financial wellness or on-demand pay benefits free most of the time through your payroll provider. So it's an ancillary benefit that has no cost. But above that, the second benefit that we found that is highly beneficial to the manufacturing space is having resources to things like pet insurance, prescription savings, gift cards, to help save where you're already spending, ways to stretch your dollar. Because we do find that about 70 million Americans do live paycheck to paycheck, and a lot of them are in manufacturing, healthcare, quick service restaurants, and hospitality.
Perfect. What are some ways that we can encourage our younger workforce to take advantage of our retirement plans? They seem to think they have all the time in the world. Melissa, this one's for you.
Definitely,
going back to that education piece, right? Making sure that they really understand, having a graph or a chart that shows this is the difference between putting money in a market now versus waiting 10 years. You put that same amount of money, and how does it grow, right? Being able to see visuals like that I think is really important. Will you say the first part of the question again?
Yeah, absolutely. How can we encourage our younger workforce to take advantage of our retirement plan?
Yeah, a second thing is, if you're offering a match, making sure they know that that's basically free money that they're missing out on if they're not participating. If you're offering, and going back to if you're offering, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever percent you're doing, make sure that they know how much they need to put in to contribute so that they get that full match. It's free money that they're literally walking away from if they're not taking advantage of that. I think those are the 2 key pieces.
And quick follow-up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you didn't hear what he was saying, auto enrollment is actually now required for 401k plans that happened through Secure Act back in 2021 or 2021. It's mandated now. So auto enrollment, that is something that, again, employees have to be educated about. They need to know that they're going to be automatically enrolled in this plan and they have to opt out of it. And we've done a really good job of making sure that employees know that, employers know that, getting notices out so that they're not all of a sudden having, hey, why is this money missing from my paycheck? I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I need every dollar. I don't want it in there. So that they can opt out within the time limit.
Yeah, I'd like to add on to that because we all know we're not taught to save for retirement or budget a checkbook or how to do your taxes in high school. So I recommend sharing a retirement savings calculator with them very young so that they're able to look at if they start saving now, what that's going to be versus if they start saving in 10 to 15 years. So they may feel invincible while they're young, but education is key. And having that visual really helps them. So I do recommend looking into a retirement savings calculator to share.
And I would say also with that too, whoever your 401k provider is, do they have a website that employees can access, log into? Does it have educational information? Does it have a calculator? Does it have other pieces in there that they can, or resources that they can utilize? If not, look for other options.
Perfect. Yes, absolutely. Okay, another question here. What are some ways we can introduce the concept of non-traditional benefits to a traditional executive team? How do we get their buy-in?
I would just say for me, it has nothing to do with 401k or retirement space, but just for me personally, my mom passed away from cancer. And so when I learned that I could get a cancer policy on my own because work isn't paying for it, I said, hey, sign me up. This is something that it means something to me. So in that sense, I think just, again, going back to what I said from the beginning, seeing what they're actually interested in.
I totally agree with that. And I also think, when you're working with an executive team, knowing what's going to speak to those individuals. Do you need statistics? Do you need those surveys? Do you need to be able to say our employees are asking for X, Y, and Z? Or statistically, retention is going to improve by X% if we give them A, B, and C. Being able to kind of speak that language and tell a true end-to-end story on what you're trying to accomplish, I think is really important. Showing up at the board table and saying, well, I really want to do this, I think it's going to be really cool, is not going to be your effective approach. You have to really prepare and know your stuff as well. You're going to get a lot of questions, you've got to be prepared to answer.
Excellent.
Again, survey the employees, build a case study, present that to leadership with a return on investment. So how is this investment going to increase our retention, increase our productivity, affect our bottom line. That is the numbers they look at. That's the information they need to make those decisions. So when you're building your case, make sure you have all the information needed, including those employee surveys.
Perfect. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Corey.
Quick, data is key. So you have to have reliable data when you're meeting with CEO, CFO, president that are not in the trenches dealing with benefits every day and are not necessarily dealing with employees every day. So you definitely have to be able to demonstrate in a linear format return on investment. And it could be in the form of FICA savings from payroll deductions for pre-tax products. It could be absenteeism. It could be retention. There's a variety of ways to attack that. But I would say having a good HR consultant or a good benefits consultant to help you with that conversation could be extremely helpful. And that's what we do all day long is sit down at the board table and talk through the positives and negatives of different programs and help guide them to what makes the most sense for the organization. That can be a daunting task if you're in HR and that's your primary goal and you're going up against CFO who's in control of the purse strings, president that cares only about the bottom line and listens to the CFO. And the employees are unfortunately a lot of the time an afterthought for executive leadership. So you have to make a case study that is more than just heartstrings. There's got to be numbers and data behind it to back it up.
That's a great point. Perfect. All right, another question here. Have you found any creative ways to build engagement with the workforce? Really get them interested in the information or benefit education that we are trying to provide?
Real quick, we ask any client we work with to basically require them to set aside time and get their employees together in one or a series of interactive meetings where we bring a team of people in and engage with them on a one-on-one basis, get a conversation started rather than just a presentation. A real Q&A back and forth with real case studies and real examples and trickle in a little comedy and whatever the case may be, bring in lunch, whatever's going to entice them to show up and participate. Sometimes we do giveaways. It's a 300 employee company and they struggle to get people to come to the lunch meeting. We bring in lunch and we give away a 65-inch TV and guess what? They're pretty engaged in that way. So a lot of ways to do it, but I think you need to collaborate with the team you're working with on how do we, and sometimes the department heads, how are we going to get this employee engaged? How are we going to get them here and get them to pay attention to get off their phone and 20 minutes to listen to what we have to say?
Yeah, so engagement is very important when it comes to education. So incentivizing employees to take a 401k course in their financial wellness benefit. A lot of times they present a certificate or something that proves they've completed a course. So you can say, bring me your certificate, I'll buy you Starbucks, or we'll do a pizza party if everyone on the team completes this course. So you can incentivize them that way, but you can also hang up posters throughout the break room. You can put it on TV displays throughout offices, and you can have like lunch and learns, have a taco truck come out and everyone stands outside and we do a Q&A session and really get into it. So engaging the employees can be as easy as having a one-on-one conversation with them in the break room to setting up a monthly meeting for them to ask questions so that they are the ones asking the questions. They're not the ones just being told what's going on. It gives them the opportunity for their voices to be heard and recognized.
Perfect. Another question from the audience. Upskilling is key today. What are some thoughts on launching an upskilling program to encourage our team to take more control of their careers?
upskilling is key right now, and I think you can offer the world, you can fully open that door to all of the content in your learning management system. That's not really what's going to hit the nail on the head. What you want to be able to do is tailor the available content meaningfully to what your employees are looking to do with their careers. So that doesn't necessarily mean skilling them up to the next job in line, in promotion, but are there certain skill sets that they need to grow to be successful in your industry? Are there certain things that they are personally interested in that you can help them develop that will in turn eventually have a benefit back for your company? I think that there's a lot of opportunity to retain people by offering those educational opportunities.
All right, we have a couple more minutes here. So last question for the panel. How do you guys see government regulations and policies impacting the future of benefits?
I can start with this. I think we're in a lot of the states that my team works in, we're seeing a lot of movement toward paid sick leave, paid family leave, requirement of employer contribution on 401k and things of that regard. And those things are, for some of us, happening kind of quietly in the background. So I think as HR professionals, we have to be really connected and aware that those changes are coming down the pipe. When is it going to be effective? How is it going to affect your workforce? And be proactive to have that.
Yeah, so particularly for financial wellness when it comes to regulations and regulatory. So there's tons of EWA providers and financial wellness providers out there lobbying. There are a few states with some restrictions, primarily in Connecticut, particularly because they don't offer any kind of loan programs. EWA is not a loan program, but we are. They're lobbying, fighting for site good, and the majority of the states do treat it as not a loan product, but an employer benefit. So it kind of just depends on the states, the regulators, and how they're looking at the restrictions. But as of right now, when it comes to financial wellness or EWA, there's no state restrictions.
Yeah, I touched about this in my first question. States mandate the 401k, which, over here in Arkansas and Texas and Oklahoma and these areas, we don't have those mandates here. So it's not something that's at the forefront, and a lot of businesses owners don't even realize that it's happening. So definitely there's going to be more states that start to jump on board and pass legislation.
Government and health insurance. That's a loaded question. There's a lot going on. So, there are dozens of pieces of legislation out there that would impact benefits in the near or next 5 years. One we've been watching very closely would be HSA reform and the ability for HSA maximums to follow the plan maximum out of pockets would be huge for people that are on high deductible health plans to be able to actually contribute enough to cover their spend in a worst case scenario under their health plan. Anyone that participates in an HSA would see the value of that. Certainly if you're in a situation where you make enough that you can afford to max fund your health savings account, that's a big deal. One of the problems we have with health savings accounts is if someone's not funding it properly, their employer is not helping to fund it, many times they don't feel like they have insurance when they go to the doctor. And so seeing some regulation around that, seeing improvements in what's allowed, I think would be huge in promoting health savings accounts further. We've got, the healthcare reform law is obviously being reanalyzed again by the current administration. I don't see us going socialized medicine under this administration for sure, but I can see some repeal of the ACA potentially coming down the line over the next 2 years before we get to midterms. That could have implications across the whole board for health insurance costs. If we're starting to see Medicaid be dissolved in a lot of places, We haven't seen anything specific in Arkansas yet, but if it happens, it's going to change the landscape. And I think it's important to pay attention to what's going on and how that could impact your workforce. Certainly, if you have less than 50 employees, and then if you have over 50 employees and you today have to offer insurance or pay a penalty, if that goes away, do you continue to offer health insurance? Do you perform an analysis every year to determine is it better off to offer health benefits or not, deal with higher turnover or pay higher wages? Or I think it brings a lot of questions to the forefront that haven't been asked in over a decade because we've been in a situation where we have to offer benefits for those that have over 50 FTEs. So all kinds of things can change. Here to help if you need advice.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you so much to our panelists today. Let's give them a round of applause. Everyone who's joining virtually, they should have the SurePay CI credits up right now. And if you attended live, we will email those out to you guys today.
Email.
Carolyn's gonna email them to everyone, so just kidding.
Real quick, put one of these on everyone's table. This is just a really quick, easy chart that shows kind of how Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z, vast majority of our workforce, how they prioritize different benefits, ranging from retirement plans to recognition of rewards, PTO, social responsibility, and all types of things, as well as health insurance and other traditional products. But I think you'll find it interesting to see how different generations do these things and why it's increasingly important to focus on catering to a multi-generational workforce, because that's what we have. So, thank you.
If you're here in person, stick